Hello, everyone. Jen Pike here from the Simplicity Sessions, and I want to welcome you to another episode today. It is fairly early in the morning, and I felt inspired to get up today and to record something that has been coming into my inbox and been happening in conversations lately. If you've been listening to the podcast over the last little while, you'll know that, well, if you're living in the world right now, you know that we are going into, I believe at this point, it is week 9. Now, I'm recording this on May the 13th. So this is when you're going to hear this in real time. It'll be a couple more weeks out, but there's been a lot of stress that's been going on for people, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. And in a woman's body, that has created a lot of different signs, symptoms, and imbalances in regards to her hormones. And that can show up for a lot of women as exacerbated PMS. And this is something that I don't believe that we should actually have to struggle with, and that there are a lot of issues that are happening that, come into our body: breast tenderness, acne, headaches, heavy, painful periods, cramps, difficulty sleeping, those types of things that there are so many things we can be doing from a lifestyle perspective to be supporting and helping ourselves. And that's really what I wanted to share today. And, to do this in a way where it's actionable things that you can start to implement, as soon as we get off of this today. So the first thing that I wanted to start off talking to you about is some of the things that we can and should be doing in terms of how we are hydrating our body, right? The liquids that we're choosing, those types of things. So I have here with me, I have a 40-ounce water bottle that I use. It's stainless steel. And then I use glass mason jars, the 1 liter mason jars. And that's what I do to keep myself on track with my hydration throughout the day. And so my personal goal for myself is I try to get in about 120 ounces of water in a day. And so the big stainless steel like Yeti that I have is 40 ounces. So I try to get through 3 of those, or 4 of my 1 liter mason jars. It's also really important to me, warming liquids. And so for me, I love to start the day off with some form of an elixir. It might be something that is dandelion based, like Dandy Blend. It might be something like matcha. Today, I'm actually choosing a blend from Four Sigmatic, which is a company that I really love that uses medicinal mushrooms as the root of their products. And so I am not typically somebody who will gravitate to coffee. I don't generally do all that well with it, but they have an adaptogen coffee blend that I've actually found I'm kind of okay with. And on certain days and at certain times in my cycle, I actually might have that, but put it into a balancing elixir. If I was just to have the coffee on its own, that would have my heart feeling racy and I'd be sweating and my mind would just kind of be moving faster. And so I will actually put it into an elixir. So I've got an elixir this morning that I made, and I wrote this all down so that I was able to actually articulate it back to you in a way where you can recreate this. And I'm going to give you a discount code actually for the Four Sigmatic that you can use at the end. So it's a pack of their Adaptogen Coffee mix. And then I did a tablespoon of cocoa powder, and I did 2 scoops of collagen. So 18 grams of protein, those collagen peptides right out of the gate in the morning. I really love Genuine Health. They're bovine collagen. And so I put the dry powders into my mug. I added in about a half a teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon, sprinkle of nutmeg. And then what I did is I put in about a quarter, maybe a third of a cup of cashew milk. And then I mixed all that dry with that liquid together in there while my water was boiling. And then I poured the hot water in, and I have a little hand frother. When it's early in the mornings, I don't throw this all into the blender because the kids are still sleeping. And so I have a little hand frother. I bought it at Walmart, super inexpensive. Don't even know the brand name of it because the sticker wore off. And I will do that. And that's what I have in here. And it is super satiating. The fact that I've got the collagen in there is great because it's got a little bit of protein. The other thing I did as well too is I put a little bit of coconut oil into it. So I got some fat. So I got protein, I got fat, I have some cinnamon in there for blood sugar stability. And then it is enough that it's not going to like lift me off the ground and then suppress my appetite or have me doing the opposite, which is like literally inhaling what's not nailed down. So you can use the code TSP 15 to save 15% off your 4 Sigmatic orders. They have a ton of different varieties. So the coffee one for me only comes out once in a blue moon, like literally probably once a month. Today's that day. Otherwise, I'm using their matcha blend. They have a beautiful chai latte blend. They've got cacao mushroom reishi blends. My husband does like coffee, so he gets their ground Lion's Mane coffee and he uses that, but you can use that code TSP15, which stands for the Simplicity Project, and you can go and save 15% off of those orders and make your own delicious elixir. Now, let me get into what I actually want to talk to you about today, which is how you can manage your PMS, because it is fun for no one. It is not fun for you. It is not fun for your family or anybody else that you are spending time around. And like I said, I just really firmly don't believe that this is something we have to manage with. In the Hormone Project, which is my signature course and program that I teach with women, the PMS is like, it's gone by month 2. And it is not because I've given them magical PMS, fairy powder that they dust over themselves. It's because we've talked about what the root cause is. We've talked about a lot of the underlying issues, and I've given them tips and steps to start to implement. And that's what we're going to do today. So the root cause of PMS. The things you really have to look at in your lifestyle is you don't start off asking yourself, well, what am I deficient in supplement wise? Now, I am going to talk to you about supplements today, a couple of supplements, because I definitely believe they help to bridge the gap and help to support and build your system up. However, nothing is going to do that like your foundational lifestyle, which is the food that you're eating, the way that you are moving, how you are sleeping, the products that you are using. So sugar, alcohol, stress, imbalanced blood sugar, if you're holding on to excess inflammation and weight, this is going to exacerbate those PMS symptoms because it is typically going to drive your estrogen up. And estrogen is a beautiful hormone. We need to have estrogen, but in the right amount. Too little, not good. Too much, also not good. We're going to focus on the too much today, because if you have too little, you're not suffering from PMS, okay? It's when you have too much estrogen that is either being produced, being converted, not being properly drained and moved down through your phase 1 detoxification. You're not methylating properly and conjugating it in phase 2, which means you're not probably eliminating it well in phase 3. And if you're constipated, I can guarantee you that you have these issues happening because you're not properly grabbing a hold of the excess toxic hormones, the estrogen that needs to move through your body, anything else that needs to be bound up and get on out. So when estrogen hangs around too long or gets recirculated back up into the body, estrogen makes things grow. So you're going to have large, swollen, tender breast and nipples, like horrible, especially for that luteal phase, which is the last 10 to 14 days before your cycle comes on. You're going to probably break out. You're going to have intense cravings. You'll probably feel like the scale is moving up, mood swings galore, and oftentimes feeling emotional. So this is where it's really important that you're making those dietary changes. You have to be eliminating that sugar. You have got to be cutting down your alcohol or eliminating it completely. And this is the tricky part, and especially right now when stress is happening, is everyone is reaching for drinks. Everyone is going for more wine, coolers, beer, whatever it is that you're having. All of that, ladies, is raising your estrogen. I did a whole episode on alcohol. If you go back into the Simplicity sessions, wherever you're listening to this right now, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, maybe you're catching this on YouTube right now, because I'm starting to upload some of these as video. You need to go back and listen to that one, because the alcohol is raising your estrogen dramatically. And this is going to increase a lot of your issues. For those of you who maybe don't have a menstrual cycle anymore, but you are having wicked ass menopause situation going on, the alcohol is also going to make that worse for you. It's going to screw up your sleep. It's going to mess with your skin. It's going to impact your adrenal function, which is then going to impact your thyroid function. So we really need to start to take a closer look as women, as a society, I believe as a whole, as to how often we are drinking, what type of things we're putting into our body, what you're mixing it with, and its connection to how you're feeling. Your stress. Okay, stress is huge. We're going to talk about this a little bit deeper as we go into it, but the more stress that you're feeling, the more stress that you are around, that you're part of, that you're participating in, It's like being on one leg instead of two. It's going to feel a little shaky in everything that you try to do. Now, stack on unstable blood sugar, where if you're the person that starts every day with the coffee, and then you have another coffee, and then you're grabbing, a bagel, and then you're having a sandwich, and then you're grabbing, a sweetened bar or chocolate, or another coffee in the afternoon, or a vanilla yogurt topped with granola and raisins, and then you're coming home to a pasta meal and a glass of wine. That essentially means you've eaten sugar all day long, right? You've had a lot of processed carbohydrates that are breaking down, that are impacting your insulin and overall blood sugar. And that is just like a teeter-totter of emotions, inflammation, weight issues, will also contribute towards your constipation and bunging you up. So really thinking about that strategy of what can you do to stabilize your blood sugar? Every meal that you have, you should be looking at it and saying, okay, do I have protein? Do I have fat? And do I have fiber? Those are the core key essentials to make sure that you are A, going to be stabilizing the blood sugar, B, making your body feel satiated enough that your two hunger hormones that work in unison, leptin and ghrelin, are communicating in a way where they're like, I was hungry, I needed something, you satisfied me, now you can put the fork down and you can move away. That's really the goal. Okay. And then if you're holding on to excess inflammation, excess weight, this is also going to be driving those estrogen levels up and putting you in more of an estrogen excess or an estrogen dominant situation. And so we need to be looking at things like, how are you supporting your liver, right? This is really, really important. Your liver is your main detoxifying organ, along with your lungs, your bowels, your skin, your urinary system. Really, really important. We're keeping all of these pumps, set up in a way where we are able to actually move the things out that need to get out and draw in what needs to come in. And so things like starting your day off with warm water, a little bit of fresh lemon and apple cider vinegar can be a great way to get that liver supported. Adding liquid chlorophyll into your water is a fantastic way. Dandy blend is amazing at any time of the day. It's non-stimulating. It's dandelion root based. Dandelion and milk thistle out of the herb family are probably the two best supportive herbs that you could use for the liver. Those are some simple things that you can do. Dry brushing is an amazing way because you're stimulating your lymph system. So dry brushing before you get into the shower, also making sure that you are doing things like moving your body and getting outside into fresh air. We need to be creating this pump for your lymphatic system so that nothing is stagnant. I also really love taking supportive tinctures and herbs. St. Francis Herb Farm creates the one that I love the most, which is their liver hepato DR. I typically will have women take the dose and split it in half. I have them keep it next to their toothbrush. So they'll take half the amount in the morning, half the amount at dinner, or when they go to bed at night before they brush their teeth. And the reason I choose the toothbrush is we have to have things where you're going to remember them. And you go to your toothbrush at least twice a day. So that is the reminder to then take that tincture, which is going to be supporting that liver doing its wonderful job, many of its wonderful jobs. The other thing is taking a look at what the underlying root could be for you in your life. So you really have to take a look at what is your diet made up of, right? If you're having a lot of those refined carbohydrates I was talking about, if you're having a lot of dairy, dairy is a huge one in turn. And it doesn't even matter. It does not matter if it's organic. It doesn't matter if it's grass-fed. If you're someone that's dealing with really bad PMS, really bad breast tenderness, really horrible acne, and you're holding on to weight around your cycle and you're constipated, the dairy should be coming out, in my opinion, 100%. I have never seen it working with a woman who has all those signs and symptoms and keeps the dairy in and things get better. When we pull it out, I'm telling you, by the second menstrual cycle, things are like 50% better, if not more. And I'm not just saying that to pull on that thread. I'm telling you straight up, honestly, that is the case. So getting rid of the dairy, that means things like your cow-based yogurt, your cheese, your whey-based protein powder, your actual milk, and changing it over. There's amazing goat cheese and sheep cheese that's easier to digest and break down in the body if you can tolerate it. There's fantastic nut-based cheeses that you can have. There's amazing coconut yogurt and cashew yogurt and different things like that. You could try goat yogurt and see how that is. You don't need to be drinking dairy. Let's just get that out there on the table. We do not need to have dairy. That is not your main calcium source. Your best sources of calcium come from plants, from your greens, from your nuts, from your seeds, from actual food that we're chewing and masticating in our mouth. And dairy is not one of those things. It's very pro-inflammatory, especially if you have not just acne, but you have eczema, psoriasis, you have an autoimmune condition, you're chronically congested, you've got tons of allergies, you have dandruff, all of these issues, and this goes for your children as well too. Cut the dairy. It is not something that we need to be having. If you're eating a lot of conventional meat, because conventional meats that aren't organic and hormone and antibiotic free, that is a huge load for our system. And so that impacts our own hormonal system. It's the same thing with the dairy. It's a hormonal byproduct, right? Dairy is coming from pregnant cows, and that was meant for their baby cows, not for us human beings. And so difficult to digest and break down, but also our body's going to hold onto and deposit a lot of that excess hormone, the residual from the meat and from the dairy in our fat cells. And so this increases your inflammation, it increases your body weight. And then your body, when you have signs of inflammation, like a headache or the dandruff or the acne or that's your body's way of like trying to purge it out. It's like, what in the world do I do with all of this excess stuff that is in here? How do I move it out? So when your body's trying to expel mucus, when it's creating extra stuff, when you've got pimples that are coming out, when your body odor is getting worse, when your periods are getting worse, when you have blood clots that are moving, this is your body's way of like, too much. You filled the tank past the limit. There's too much stuff in here. We've got to push and get it out. And so your body's not doing anything wrong. It's doing it right. But where we've missed the boat is not educating women on these things for their body. Caffeine is also going to massively promote a lot of hormonal imbalances. And so we've got to be looking at things outside of, the sugar, the refined carbs, the coffee, the dairy, the, excess meat every day of the week, and looking at, okay, how many vegetables are you getting in? How much fiber are you getting in? What about your healthy fats that you're getting in? These are the things that you really need to be incorporating day to day. So when you're getting up in the morning, can you have a healthy smoothie? Absolutely, you can. Do a plant-based or a bone broth-based protein powder. Some people even do well with an organic beef-based. And I know we just talked about meat, but this is choosing and sourcing your companies well. So plant-based protein powder, I love Genuine Health. I really love Vital Proteins has a great one. I love Sprues for their collagen. If you don't want to use a protein powder, I like Sun Warrior, Iron Vega. And then for other ones in terms of like bone broth based or beef based, Ancient Nutritions and Designs for Health. They're fantastic companies for that. But then in that smoothie, add in things like frozen zucchini or frozen cauliflower, amazing sources of phytonutrients. And the cauliflower specifically is going to help to bind to excess toxic estrogen and move it out. Add in your dark leafy greens. You can add in some fruit, but not a whole banana, a cup of berries, a cup of pineapple and mango. It's too much sugar. So add in a half a banana and a half a cup of berries. I'm not saying don't have the fruit. You will never hear me say that. Just be mindful and ask yourself why. Is it because you are so used to sweetness that your palate is like, oh, the vegetables, it doesn't taste good? And is the word good intertwined with sweet? So think about those things. Add in, do the seed cycling, right? I've got lots of information on my website and I have a free opt-in. I talk about seed cycling. If you're part of my Synced community, which is a paid community where I have an entire movement series and dietary and master classes, and you can train live with me in the group as well once a week. And it's called Synced. You can see it at my website, jenpike.com. And this is where, like, if you're a woman struggling with your cycle, you want to be part of this group, because the entire program, it is the Synced Academy. It is like school for your period, for you, for your girls, and understanding in every different phase and what's going on, how you can best support yourself. Adding those seeds to your smoothies, whether it's your ground flax or your pumpkin in the first half of the cycle, or in that second half, the sunflower and the sesame seeds. So that can be a supportive smoothie. You could also do eggs in the morning, some avocados, some greens, but we're moving away from toast. We're moving away from a pita in the morning and butter. We're moving away from cereal, right? Like the things that are not going to ground you, but that are instead going to start your blood sugar off on the wrong foot. And now how you craving everything in sight. That's what we really want to be careful of. Same thing as you're moving into your lunches and your dinners. Where's the veggies? Where's the fat? Where's the protein? I really like for women who are struggling with their blood sugar and PMS, breakfast, lunch, afternoon snack, dinner, that's it. Try to have that minimum 12 to 14 hour window where you've got the digestive rest. So if you're eating dinner at 6:30 at night, you're not going to have anything back in your system that you're going to eat and chew until 6:30 in the morning, maybe 7:30 or 8:30. Now, could you do the warm water and the lemon? Yes. An elixir like I talked to you about today might be a bit too much because we've got like the fat in there. We've got a couple scoops of protein. So if I'm going to do something like this, what I'll do in that, 14-hour window, 14 hours feels really good for my body. 16 does not feel great. Maybe when I'm in my follicular phase of my menstrual cycle, which is just after my period ends, and my energy is really good, then I might be able to, but I feel it in my blood sugar and in my cognition. I need a sharp brain. I don't want brain fog and, that dissonance where it's like someone's talking to you and you hear them, but you're like, it's going over my head. I find if I fast for way too long, it does not feel good for my system. And I know that, and I've done the proper blood work. I do my Dutch test regularly, so I can see my adrenal and my thyroid function, and that helps me understand what's going to work best for me, not just what someone is telling me to do on the internet or in a podcast because it works for them. So you have to really titrate that up around how does it feel for your body. So for me, my sweet spot is about 14 hours. So I would do the warm water and lemon in the morning or just regular water, and then I would have a more satiating elixir around that 14-hour mark, okay? The other things that can impact your PMS are the body care products you're using. So I've done lots of podcast episodes about this. One of our show partners, Skin Essence, the reason I connect myself with different companies is these are things I'm putting and using on my body. So one thing I've been doing to help myself with, the level of stress lately is doubling down on my self-care. So I have been, doing little face masks a couple of times a week. And I actually just use my pure facial cleanser that is from Skin Essence. And if you use the code JenPike20, you can save 20% off your orders. And I massage it into my skin, and then I leave it on for like 20 minutes, a half an hour while I'm puttering around doing other stuff. And then I rinse it off, and it feels amazing on my skin. It just feels like I'm kind of like loving on my body a little bit more. And so I really enjoy things like that. But going back into those episodes, also in my book, The Simplicity Project, I talk and name brands, body care, makeup, shampoo, all of those things. It's so important and essential that you're making sure that you're not putting chemicals on your body because your skin's your largest organ, right? And so this is going to get in and create a lot of those issues. And, my oldest, who's going to be 14 in a couple of weeks, my daughter, I have her using all these products as well too, because I want to start her system off on the right track. Now, some things in terms of keeping our body supported when you're having these signs and symptoms of PMS that we've talked about. I'm going to talk to you about some different supplement type things that you can be doing. The number one thing I would say to you, once you get you got to get the diet down. You got to get the protein, fat, and fiber, get the blood sugar stable, make sure you're getting enough of that water into your body, start to be cognizant of the products that you're using. When it comes to supplements, I have my foundationals that I talk about, and I have a free chapter from my book about supplements that you can download, okay? On top of those daily foundationals, which for me are things like probiotics, vitamin D, vitamin B, magnesium, Juice Plus is what we use. I don't use a multivitamin. I like the whole food instead. And your omegas. Those for me are the foundationals. Now, the magnesium is really critical if you have PMS. Magnesium is involved in over 800 different functions in our body on any given day or time. And it is depleted in times of stress. So that magnesium, people talk about it like it's a tranquilizer for sleep. That's not what that's not really what is happening. It is calming to the body, so it can help to shift you into more of a parasympathetic state when you go to bed at night, but it is not going to knock you out on your butt. Why I love magnesium for women, especially in that on a daily basis, I like about 200 to 400 milligrams before bed. For me, the choices I like are a bisglycinate or a citrate. So want to be a capsule, want to be a powder. The other thing is that when you're coming into that luteal phase, the second half of your menstrual cycle, and you start to feel those symptoms coming on, I will have most women in my practice bump up the amount of magnesium to help with breast tenderness, mood, cramps, and their sleep. I will also have them take evening primrose oil, typically 2 capsules in the evening, especially for, I'd say, like the 5 to 6 days leading into their cycle. And I'll probably have them stay on that combination of the magnesium and evening primrose oil for the first 2 to 3 days of their cycle as well. It will help to decrease, if not completely eliminate, their cramps, any deep vaginal pain that they might get during their cycle, and just soften that achiness around their lower back and their hips and deep within their pelvis. So that's really important. The other thing is the B vitamins I mentioned in my foundationals are really good quality B complex. Now, in your blood work, you'll only see things like your B12. B12 is typically low in a lot of people, but I like to support with the full complex so that we're also getting B1, B2, B6, B9. We're getting the full spectrum of what the body requires. If we do blood work and we see that B12 is low, or if we're looking at the Dutch test and we see that the B needs to be supported, then we can add some additional B12 sublingual, but I really like to start with a B complex as a base. Hands down, my favorite company for that is AOR, and I have my women take 2 to 3 capsules a day of that. Vitamin C is also really important. And this is because not just for your immune system, vitamin C is supporting your adrenals, and it also can be helpful in supporting your progesterone. So I love a liposomal vitamin C. I really love the one from Designs for Health. I would have my women take 2 teaspoons a day of liposomal vitamin C. Or if they can't get that, and don't have access to it, then I would have them do 4 chewable of 500 milligram. I love the Natural Factors chewable. There's no funky junk in there. There's nothing artificial that's in there, and I'll have them chew those. And what I'll have them do with the chewable vitamin C is, if they're having cravings throughout the day, I'll say to them, instead of reaching for that chocolate, I want you to chew a vitamin C. And it's not because the vitamin C is like, oh, so tasty. It changes the palate. And when the palate is changed, the connection and the conversation from certain neurotransmitters to the brain about what you need and what you want will shift. The other thing is getting in all that water. It is critical. For the breast tenderness, there is an oil that I really love, and it's by St. Francis Herb Farm, and it is called Mastose Breast Oil. And what I love about this is that it's got calendula, it's got phytolacca, red clover, lobella, mullein, and so it's done in a castor oil. Castor oil is amazing for cramps, it's amazing for constipation, it's amazing for breast tenderness. And in this, there's homeopathic remedies and different botanicals and herbs. And what you would do is you actually would just pour dime size in your hand and massage this all over your breast tissue. And I actually encourage you to go up where the lymph glands are in the underarms that are draining into your breast, which is why natural deodorant is so important, and that you massage all there. The other thing that you can do is you can add in clary sage oil from doTERRA. So if you go to my website at the bottom, jenpike.com, you'll see that I have a link there for doTERRA, and you can put your orders in there. And what's great with doTERRA is that, you can sign up. Like, this is the reason I signed on as a distributor, is because every time I order, I get it at a wholesale price, but I earn points on all my own orders. So I'm like never paying for product, because every time I order something, well, then I earn points. And then the next time I need something, I get to redeem those points. So I think it's just a smarter way, excuse me, of purchasing products, is that, you don't have to like join on to a company to build a team. You can join on just for the added benefit of yourself. And that's why I do. So if you want to do that for yourself and order some of those oils, like the clary sage, which is an amazing supportive oil around your hormones, especially PMS, then you can do that. To save with your St. Francis, if you order through Pure Feast, you enter in the code St. Francis 10, and then you get 10% off of that. We've talked about rather stabilizing your blood sugar, really important, getting enough fiber in. How do you know if you have this inflammation in your body? Well, first of all, we would base it off certain symptoms that you have going on. All the symptoms I've talked about up to this point. But if you really wanted to measure it, if you wanted to test instead of guessing, full, complete blood panel, really important. And nowadays you have to fight to get this full blood panel from your doctor. You're going to have to offer to pay out of pocket for the additional testing, the full thyroid panel and other markers, or you're going to have to pay out of pocket and go to a practitioner or a naturopath, functional medicine doctor who will just run the whole gamut. The amount of energy and time and, to be honest, money that we waste chasing after what we assume or think that could be going on because we've Googled it versus actually just testing for our own body. It's mind-boggling. People look at the cost of test and think like, oh gosh, $400 or $500 or whatever it may be. I guarantee you, you have enough supplements in your cupboard that are worth that, or things that you have tried, programs that you've joined that you never finished, all of the things, because you were trying to avoid what you assumed to be the really big cost. I have learned time and time again in practice, test, actually know what's going on with the body, then start to put together what they would need protocol wise. More intense supplements. I mean, none of the supplements I've talked to you about today are considered intense supplements, right? Intense supplements would be things like using things like DIM, calcium D-glucarate, indole-3 carbinol, those types of things, and where there's a combination of Vitex and turmeric in that. And I shouldn't say they're intense, but if you don't know the reason why your estrogen is a problem in your body, whether it is a production issue, a drainage issue, or a methylation issue, you could actually release things up top in your body too quickly. And like if you're constipated and you go to start to do a big cleanse, but you're still not pooping, your symptoms are going to get worse. So be very careful and mindful. And this is why it's so important that you work with somebody on these things, so that if you're not pooping, that's goal number one. Digestion and optimizing gut function, always goal number one, right out of the gates, okay? But those things like broccoli sprout and the DIM, calcium D-glucarate, indole-3 carbinol, Vitex, turmeric, omega-3s, they are things that can really help to move and to honestly eliminate a lot of these symptoms that you are going through. But you have to know what to use and when to use it. Handling your stress and maximizing your self-care is another really critical reminder to you right now. So are you exercising? Because this is one of the best ways that you can mitigate your stress response. Are you getting outside in fresh air and walking? It costs you nothing. And I think it is one of the most cathartic things that we can do for ourselves. Listen to a podcast, listen to a book, you know, call up a friend or your mom or somebody who can help to make things feel, you know, just better, lighter. Like look for things that are going to add levity to life, not that are going to be heavy and bog you down. And it could just be 5 minutes. There are days I share where I'm like, I literally have, you know, moments, not minutes, and I will get outside, do the quickest little walk and get back in. Exercising according to your cycle. I cannot stress this enough to you. You are not designed to be hitting your peak and training at a certain intensity every single day of the month, ladies. That is fantastic in your follicular and your ovulatory phase, but in your luteal and your menstrual phase, there is a different, better way to be moving. I have an entire program called Synced that is designed 100% for a female's body in each of those 4 phases of her cycle. If you no longer have a cycle, if you're on the birth control pill, which means your cycle is being regulated by the chemicals in the pill, and what you actually get is a chemical withdrawal bleed, not your true period, because you're not ovulating, I have a way and a system in there as well too of how to sync you up to the lunar cycle as opposed to your actual menstrual cycle. And so this is not only just for your exercise and how to optimize your goals in terms of, you know, losing inches and losing body weight and building muscle tissue and all of those things. This is also about getting more connected with the innate wisdom that is your body, with your egg wisdom, with your intuition, and with knowing without a shadow of a doubt that what you're choosing for your system is best for your body. Not my body, not your girlfriend's body, not your sister's, your body. That's what Synced will help to teach you and really hone that message in. All the workouts are 30 minutes or less. They are done from your home. Very limited equipment. So you can head to jenpike.com/synced. You can read all about it. It's actually on for 50% off right now. So you can go and take advantage of that and you can join us. The other thing to really understand about stress is that, you know, cortisol, which again is a great hormone. If you don't have any cortisol, this isn't good. Your body has no reserve to respond to stress. Cortisol is secreted by your adrenals, and it's designed to be released at certain times of the day and in times of actual stress, not when we are in these prolonged periods of time of stress, when we are in imagined stress, when we're anticipating, when we're stuck in fear and anxiety. It can seriously do a number on our body. And this chronic level and state that so many people are stuck in, it really does a number on your adrenals, and it will have them working overtime and either excreting excess cortisol Or your body will shift and start to prefer adrenaline versus cortisol, and your adrenals' ability to be able to support you because of these messages that are coming up top from the brain of how you're taking in and taking on this stress. The system starts to break down. There becomes an imbalance. And, this is, in a perfect world, we would make cortisol and we would make things like progesterone, which are calming, in the right amounts at the right time. But when your body is pushing hormone production into cortisol overdrive, most oftentimes what I will see in testing and in clinical experience is progesterone will be the first reproductive sex hormone to drop. When progesterone goes down, it creates the opportunity for estrogen to be more elevated, which increases your PMS, increases your anxiety, increases your depression, your mood swings, and all the physical symptoms. So, and this will also be the thing that increases your weight around your waistline, around your bra strap, upper arms, the puffiness in the face. So, and these are all things that I teach additionally inside of our synced community in our master classes and in the workbook. But ladies, I want you to come away from this today starting to think about the if I could speak, the tips and steps I've recommended for you to start to implement now. These aren't big, hairy, gregarious things that are going to, have you running out to the store and getting a whole bunch of stuff. Look at what you have in your home right now. Maybe listen back through and make a little list and a little note for yourself. Start to prioritize your sleep. Get off the devices at night. Get into bed by 10 p.m. That is the most critical time for your adrenals, 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. Wake up in the morning and expose yourself to natural light. Simple things that we can be doing that are lifestyle based, that are not going to cost you an arm and a leg. Okay, and I'm sure you have some of the things in your cupboard I've talked about, but you haven't yet known how to be able to utilize those. So I hope today's episode has done that for you. And my core message that I would leave you all with is this: you are not destined as a woman to have a painful, horrible menstrual cycle that you fear showing up every single month. You are not destined to have painful, sore, swollen breasts, to have horrible cramps and backache and horrible acne and hair loss and dandruff and all these things that women are going through that they think, man, I got the short end of the stick being born a woman. No. Being born a woman is a gift. You just aren't surrounded by enough people and enough core messaging that is teaching you that. And so that is what I am here for each and every week, is to remind you of your innate power, your superpower, your ability, and the gift that you have been given. But you need to lean in and you need to start to listen a little harder, to open your ears, open your eyes, your heart, your head, and your mind to what is possible. And then you need to take action. The listening is amazing, and I'm so happy you tune in every single week, but you have to start to create some action. So one action I'm going to ask of you that helps me a ton is to rate and review the podcast, to share it with as many women as possible. Same thing if you're listening here on YouTube with me. This is why I get up every day. This is what I am passionate about doing. And I just want to send so much love and healthy vibes to all of you, and to wish you the most incredible rest of your day. And as always, sending you huge vibes of more simplicity and more ease in all that you do. Have an amazing rest of your day, everyone.